What is good, Spuds? This is your man, Jesse Whitedeer. This is the Needless Potatoes podcast with me, Jesse Whitedeer. How's everybody doing out there? How's your Friday going? Hopefully you guys are staying safe. Hopefully you guys are washing your hands and taking all the necessary precautions that we need to take in these trying times. Definitely thank you so much for joining me under the circumstances, and I hope you guys definitely stick around every Friday here at the Needless Potatoes podcast. My guest today is the mighty Bill Kelley. Bill Kelley is the guitarist and lead vocalist for the band Billy K Band. And Bill's just a great guy to know. He's very supportive of the local scene. He's been around for a little bit. And we definitely get into that. His two albums, Go Big or Go Home and Outrun the Rain, are both on Spotify. And definitely after this podcast, go check those out. Check out some of his music. Definitely hit that support tab. Help the guy out. But yeah, so we get into a little bit of his band, his community work, how he started, inspiration behind Outrun the Rain, all that great stuff. So thank you once again for joining me here on this beautiful Friday. You guys stay safe, wash your hands, help out your neighbor if you can. And once again, I've been Jesse Whitedeer, and this is Bill Kelley. Thank you. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Needless Potatoes podcast. This is Jesse Whitedeer, and I'm here with
Bill Kelley.
Hey, Bill, how's it going?
Going good. It's going real good.
Thanks for allowing me in your studio. It's looks like an old shed. But
yeah, it's all reclaimed wood in here.
So, yeah, looks real nice. It's the nicest place I've been in. So,
well, good deal.
Yeah. So, one of the reasons I wanted you on the podcast was for, because you have an extensive career and as a solo artist, but also with your band. And you've released a few albums, right?
Yeah. Working on. I did my first one in 2012, and that was in Nashville actually. So I did record that one in Nashville.
What was that called?
That was the Outrun the Rain album. That was recorded in Nashville, and I ended up with a recording contract, and with AMC Nashville Records at the time.
Okay.
So that's kind of where it started. Right there.
I mean, that's pretty impressive though. AMC.
Yeah, it was fun for a while. I stayed on the label for a few years, and it just kind of progressed where I eventually kind of broke away on my own. But that's kind of where it all started. So
okay, is that and that's and you started playing music around that time, or was it prior?
No, man, I started playing really back in high school.
Okay,
so giving away a little age, but it was a little.
I gotcha. Yeah,
not too far back, but far enough. Yeah. And so I started playing back in high school and actually various rock bands back then. It's kind of where it started. So
what type of rock bands, like hair metal,
grunge? Okay, now I really got to give away my age a little bit. So yeah, back in the 80s, that's where that hair metal stuff, I grew up listening and playing Journey and that kind of music. So that's kind of roots.
A Bon Jovi, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that kind of stuff.
Okay. Right. Did you have the big poofy hair?
I didn't. I had a little bit. Probably down to my shoulders at that time.
Okay.
And I,
You didn't have the big hair with the.
No, I didn't have the big hair. We had a good time, but.
What was the name of that first band?
Oh, geez, Shattered Glass back in the day. That was a little while back. So.
That could be a little bit dangerous though. Shattered Glass.
Yeah, I don't even know why. I can't even remember why we came up with that.
That's all right. My band in high school, we were called Deadly Volume.
I actually like that. That's pretty cool.
Okay, cool. Well.
Deadly Volume.
Yeah, I tell people that. Maybe it's not as bad as I remember. Our logo was a boombox, and then, there was, of course, sound coming out of one side, and the sound was making a fist.
Very, very cool.
So, yeah, it was very much of the time, and that was early 2000.
Okay.
Yeah, 2004, 2005, something like that.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so that was interesting. We're a Seether ripoff band.
Seether, I like Seether though.
I mean, I do too. And,
I still like Seether.
Yeah, well, especially their first few albums, I definitely liked.
Yeah.
But yeah, we very much copied them, and I think we only wrote one song together, and and then we did a few shows, and one of the shows was at the guitar vocalist. His name was Dusty. So at his uncle's party or get together, there's a bunch of high school kids playing for a bunch of middle-aged drunks.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So we played 20 minutes, and
gotcha.
Yeah, it was interesting. But anyways, so So 2012, you come out with the first album.
Yes.
And then and then what was the follow-up album, the second album?
Well, the next album was done on a different label, and that was TMG,
Mm-hmm.
and that one was Go Big or Go Home at that point, and so and actually going back just a little bit, how I got that record deal with AMC Nashville Records. I actually was on an American Artist Showcase that started on Facebook, and everybody had to, submit some original songs.
Okay.
And I actually did one of my songs. It was called "The Wind,"
Mm-hmm.
and I put that out there, and got picked up by a talent scout, and they approached me. Then from there, it was just getting in touch with a manager that I was actually out of New York that put me in touch with some people in Nashville, and that's kind of where. And that's I still have a lot of friends in Nashville, and a lot of neat little contacts over there.
Oh wow, okay. So it all started from Facebook.
Yeah.
And then initially you got the call, and then they linked you up with the manager, and then you're going to Nashville, and you recorded the first album.
Right.
What was that recording process like the first time?
Wow, it was pretty intense. I've never been put in that. I mean, I don't think too many people get put in that situation.
Yeah.
The Nashville players that they really don't. Let's just be honest. They really don't let you come in there and bring your own musicians.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times in Nashville, they're even where I recorded was where Kenny Chesney did all his his albums. It was the Tracking Room, and in Nashville, Buddy Hyatt was my producer, and Buddy's got a very long list of people he's dealt with over the years. George Jones. A lot of other people. So
Blake Shelton, perhaps?
he actually, believe it or not, Blake, and I got to talk to Blake before I recorded there because Blake did his third album there at the Tracking Room.
Okay.
And that's where I ended up doing my first album was there. So he gave me a little heads up and told me things were gonna. And he said I'd love it there. But the musicians were phenomenal. I'd never been around the musicians there. You just really. Is amazing to be around a bunch of talented people like that. So.
Oh, okay, all right, and then and that is his third album was that was it Pure BS?
I don't remember. I hate to say that I don't remember.
That's all right.
I don't remember. I tell you, the one thing I remember seeing on the wall was Shania Twain's her big album. That also was recorded there. So
well, all right.
It was like I said, the experience I could never. I couldn't replace anything like that because it was
for sure. Yeah, no, and especially being your first, official album or major album.
Yeah,
and then and then you come out with that, and then you're in the same studio that Blake did his, and that Shania did hers, and then so you said Kenny Chesney, and then George Jones. So those are definitely some heavy hitters. So the the kind of company in that's pretty amazing. And I'm not too big on the Kenny Chesneys and Blake Sheltons of the world, but no, that's still very impressive. I think I myself, very much of like Hank Williams Sr. and Jr. and Don Party.
Got it, yeah.
Yeah, all those, wearing the John Party shirt, kind of a shameless plug, but no, like I really do. I really appreciate country music, especially with listening to like Hank Williams. And his lyricism, and then this really kind of getting lost in a lot of that. I think my favorite lyric of his is, have you ever seen a robin weep when leaves begin to die?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I thought like, so when I first heard that, being an 18, 19-year-old kid, I thought like, this guy's talking about a lot of relatable stuff, and it's talking about a lot of really impactful stuff, even back in the 40s and 50s. So I really kind of gravitated towards that, and of course, listening to I Saw the Light and kind of all those his major hits.
Right.
But kind of turning it back on you is what was the key differences between playing, like you said, like hair metal, rock music, and shattered glass, than playing country music?
Well, I guess I've always been a big. I wrote a lot of ballads even back when I was playing. I guess I gravitated toward the ballads. So just because I really enjoyed and I love listening to. Going back to, Journey and, those type of bands, Bon Jovi, Def Leppard, all those things. But when I started writing, what was organic just came out. It wasn't something I was trying to recreate. I wasn't trying to recreate a Poison ballad or
Right.
or whatever, anything like that. So whatever I did just kind of came out, and it was its own thing. Is what
Well,
I think of it.
where do you think that comes from? Does it come from like that? And obviously, you're married, so and does that? Do you think that maybe relationships and that type of stuff is that kind of the catalyst or the kind of source for a lot of that?
Well, yeah, I mean, my first song that I ever wrote was about a relationship that didn't work. I mean, so I mean, to this day, it was really just started out as a poem, and and as it kind of developed, it developed into a song. So and that was that song, "The Wind," I was telling you about.
Yeah,
That's
the
exactly.
wind,
That's where it started, and I think depending on where you're at in your life, I think that's where most musicians grab the ones that have been through that's why things like the blues. I mean, it's nothing but heartache and feelings that somebody's trying to get out. So and that's what I draw from. As
Okay.
well.
So and kind of going through that painful relationship, that that inspired the wind. How was it like? What are some other inspirations besides like?
Oh, it could be anything. I mean, when I think, of course, I got a song called "Montana Sky" that I think you were in my other room. You saw some pictures along
Yeah,
the wall.
yeah.
One of them said "Never Forgotten," and that was my buddy that committed suicide.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And he went from we went to school together in California, and then we at that point he moved on to Montana, and we kept in contact. We were just great friends, and we were called the Band of Brothers. There were several of us, but he, in fact, I was going to show you a tattoo on my arm that,
Oh yeah.
the SH is his name, Steve Herman, and all the rest of the guys are right there. And I mean that one there, that song is just all about him. Trying to. I don't think you could ever know what's going through somebody's head. It was something
For
I try
sure.
to put myself there,
Right.
and try to relate a little bit. So I think that helped my healing process a little bit.
For
Getting
sure.
past that.
You
So.
kind of got those feelings out, and you kind of transferred them into music form.
Right.
And certainly,
Right.
if people kind of go through the same thing, you have something that you can point them towards and say, "Well, this is what helped me," and then maybe they get something from
Right.
it, just like your
And
relationship.
I feel bad for some people because I don't. Some people don't have an outlet for it,
Yeah,
or
absolutely.
maybe it's not a productive outlet, and that's, and I sometimes I think music can be productive, a productive outlet, So that's what I kind of that's the way I look at it anyway.
Right, I gotcha. And then just kind of, yeah, no, I think that's absolutely great, especially with some of the songs that you do play, and and especially with your backing band, the Bill Kelley band.
Yeah, yeah. The all the guys I've played with quite a few people over the years, and great musicians, phenomenal musicians.
And who's in the current lineup?
Well, we got Jay Tooley's on drums. He's a guy that's been around music a long time, knows a lot of people. Then you've got people like Suzanne Woolley she's played with Garth Brooks. So she's deep in talent that she's been
she's
around.
your violin player.
Yeah, she's the fiddle player. And Matt Calvert, probably he's the youngest guy in the group, but still a great talent. And
he's your bass player.
yeah, he's the bass player. Then, and I got really a couple of guitar players. One comes all the way from Dallas, Marty McDonald. That it just really I haven't played with. He's a lead guitar player, and I would match him up with anybody. I mean, he's a guy that I don't think I've ever played with a caliber player like that. The last time I was in Nashville, and then I have Chad Kurtzinger. Which he also plays, and he's a guy that came on playing lead guitar too, and he's very talented. Learned so much over the last several years. So
Excellent. No, very cool. And you guys actually played Seminole Win for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
we learned it, I think, that evening. Just
Okay.
because you wanted to hear it
Yeah,
that
well, I
night.
appreciate that. Yeah, no, it was that was of course by John Anderson. That was my dad because in the video the music video there was some stomp dancers and then they're dancing
Right.
of course, and growing up stomp dancing through my dad, he had a few friends in that video, and then we actually recorded something for PBS, like a little stomp dancing vignette or little a short little interview and stuff, and then so you'll see like I think I was 11, 12 at the time, and you'll kind of see snippets of me. But yeah, he actually met John Anderson and got to talk to him a little bit down in Florida.
Wow.
Yeah. So
very cool.
Yeah. So,
especially that song's, that's where it's from. I mean, that's why he,
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
great lyrics. I love the song. So
yeah, no, it's it was funny because of course you guys played that song at Vintage, and then one of the few times I was at a Village Bar, that song came on the jukebox and people just went grazing.
Yeah, and it's a major staple now in our lineup of songs that we do.
Oh, is it now?
Oh yeah. So
Okay.
we play that one quite often. So.
Well, awesome. No, and speaking of your band and stuff, what are some of the more prominent venues, or maybe some more of your favorite venues that you've played as a band?
Well, we have, in fact, another song that I wrote talks about some of the venues that are out there. And when you say venues, it's, a lot of them are not there anymore.
Yeah.
And I know I've been around long enough where I've seen great places just come and go. Mm-hmm. But, our Vocal Ballroom was a fun place to play. I did we did one of our, we were doing our CD, basically, promoting the Outrun the Rain album. We, played there at the Vocal Ballroom, and it was a great place. We played in the Stockyards at Pearls, okay. Which is another old place and very cool place to play. And it's not there anymore either. So,
okay, yeah. And our Buckle Ballroom, where was that located?
That's over there in Davis, Oklahoma. And Johnny Cash has been on that stage. It's there's been other people, Kevin Fowler, now, going from old to new, or, newer, because I think Stoney's been there.
Stoney LaRue.
Yeah, so I've been there and I played there, and, I remember doing, and I'm trying to remember when we had the tornado come through, and I'm trying to remember what year that was, but we did a huge benefit there at the Arbuckle Ballroom. Great Divide was there. So,
okay.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. I think Whiskey Myers might have been there, and I could be wrong with that, but I think they were there. They were an upcoming band at that point. Mm-hmm. And of course now they're kind of a staple in the in the music industry now. So those guys are sound. I mean, I love their sound. Mm-hmm. So anyway, that's and locally, we play the Brick House Saloon, great place. We played Hollywood Corners. That's Toby Keith's place. Mm-hmm. I couldn't tell you how many times I played down at Old Red. So these are all fun places.
Yeah, you guys played at Vintage and Village.
And of course, V22, Vintage, and I guess they're getting an uplift or a
facelift. Yeah, so we'll see, and we'll definitely have to have it back out there. And
and
looking
forward to that.
Absolutely, and of course you guys have played Village.
And Happy Land Music Alliance. We've of course, you got to mention those guys, David Piercy and
Deanna Piercy.
Yeah, Deanna's phenomenal. I love her too. And you got people like that pushing music out, and not a lot of people are doing that. There's there's only a few people out there really trying to bring music to town.
Yeah, you have HMA, and then you have John Bonboy back in the day,
sure.
and then you had myself. So it's a very
well, that's how me and you got to know one another.
Yeah, absolutely. It was through David Deanna, I believe. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So definitely shout outs to both of them.
And, but they helped us. We opened up for Cody Canada that year. The main stage at Ada Fest.
Yeah, Ada Fest is another. Yeah, and Ada Fest being an annual music festival here in Ada, and I think this year's is going to be August 26th. Right?
Yeah, I do believe.
Yeah, so August 26th, they're at ECU Plaza.
Right.
And can't announce anything yet.
Right. I understand that.
But come out definitely, and that's Ada Fest is really cool because you get all of these musicians, you get all of your friends together, all of the local musicians together, and it's just one big, hang out, and and it's
big. It's one big happy family, really. When you
absolutely,
and everybody pulls together to get that deal done.
Oh yes, yeah. I know that you've helped. Aside from playing,
I played and tried to run sound and at the Grandview just at last year.
Yeah, and Grandview, unfortunately, it closed down the end of last year, but Grandview
talking about we're sitting here talking about it, and that's it's it's a tougher, and I know this is not really off the beaten path, but I've been around, and you got all these great musicians that are out there, and there's less places to play. And it makes it tough for everybody to get on the ticket. I've got your new bands are trying to get into some places to play, and when there's more places to play, you get more experience, you get all these things done, and that's tougher to do because there's not a lot of small places.
Yeah, unfortunately,
play, you know.
I think we're down to two now. We have the lot.
Definitely need it, yeah.
Yeah, the lot, which will open up at the end of this month, which will be March, end of March. And then we have Vintage, which is still determined as to when that will open back
Right,
up.
right.
And then of course, you have the Village, but I'm not, to my recollection, I know that they have live music every month, maybe every
Yeah.
few months, something like that. So you still have the three, but it's just one of those things of, and then that kind of goes back on the band is trying to push themselves and kind of create the environment, because when I started booking, actually, before meeting John and before meeting David and Deanna, I was booking like rock and metal shows there at the ECU Ballroom. So we rented out, I'd bring a band in, we'd play, I'd pay everybody, I would always lose out on the money.
Sure.
But that's kind of where you need to start. And of course graduating to all these other venues. And then then of course we had met and linked up there. So it really is like it really is a cool thing to see, like Ada Fest, because then you have this whole litany of bands out there playing local and and out of town.
Right.
And then and for that one day, Ada is celebrating live music.
Right.
And that's something really cool. And of course they get the main stage there at ECU Plaza together. Now you had mentioned before that you guys opened for Cody Canada.
Cody Canada, and we were on the main stage with Little Texas.
Yeah.
But what was cool, even before that, we were there, and again, this was all David and Deanna. What they did, we were having a songwriter convention. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah, with Zach Malloy, right?
Zach and Brian from Little Texas, and Dwayne. That's his name. I was trying to come up with a name.
Oh, yeah, right.
And the thing is, I was up there playing with and help me out with his name. He passed. But I got to meet him, and it was amazing. It was the first time I got to meet him, and we were talking, and he's such a talent. And we were talking, and he was to my right, Lee Rippey was to my left.
Yeah, Lee.
And we got to open up for Zach Malloy, and Dwayne, and we got to do all that. So it was very, very cool. To do, and I can't remember the other gentleman's name, but he wrote so many great songs for the Little River Band. He had done so many things.
I think I'll have to go to the Google machine and look it up, because I know who you're talking about.
Well, I don't have my phone in here, but I have his music on my iPhone. He's part of my on my playlist. Mm-hmm. And of course, I just hate.
No, right, yeah, no. I think I'm definitely trying to check it out, so then that way we don't. Well, I don't look like an idiot. yeah. I definitely don't want to disrespect anybody.
No, but not at all. Well, to me, it was just an honor.
Oh, for sure.
To meet him, and it was just a great experience, and I just am still just floored, the talent that he had, and it was really cool that we all got to sit down and write a song with each and every one of them, so it was just very cool that we got to do that.
Yeah, and it's and that's all thanks to David and Deanna.
Yeah, that's where that came from,
Oh, absolutely. So, and just having that kind of that type of support. And they were just two local people that saw something that needed to be done as far as live music.
Right.
And of course, I don't want to leave out John Bomboy, but of course,
no.
Yeah, and he was just essential and helping out with live music as well. And and it's I think that's definitely something to be celebrated. I think that's something that especially live music, being in live music and promoting live music, it's just I think the atmosphere, you know what I mean?
Right.
And the atmosphere that brings, and the atmosphere that the kind of camaraderie that comes with that, and especially being in like a small town, it's definitely it's great. And I think I encourage anyone that is out there in kind of a smaller music scene, go out, book a house show, take chances and try to funnel that energy into your little vibrant music scene.
Right. And Connor Hicks.
Connor Hicks
was,
yeah.
That was the guy that, and of course we were just in here talking, but Connor's just, he was phenomenal. He was the talent was just, so I just hated to see that, nobody knows when they're going to get their ticket pulled, and I hate to say that. And it's just because I've already lost friends and things like that. You just don't know. But of course, he left a lot of talent on the table, just because.
Yeah, very talented kid. He was always, and he was, and he was very polite. You could kind of. I remember him playing a show with his bands at Vintage, and then after they got done their set, came up and and we talked a little bit, and they actually covered Ginuwine's Pony by Ginuwine. I don't know if you know that song.
Yeah, I do know the song.
Oh, okay, all right. And then so they covered that, and then no, I'm sorry. I think it was a song by Blackstreet. No Diggity, that's what it was.
Okay, well,
yeah,
don't know that. Okay.
Yeah, so sorry, Ginuwine, but No Diggity by Blackstreet. So they did that song, and then and of course they finished up, and they were taking a break, and went up, and I got to shake his hand, and we got to talk a little bit, and it was definitely very humble. Just kind of I don't want to call him a kid, but humble young man.
He was just
and he was great. He was always very polite to me, and I can and we were always very cordial, and and he was always very supportive of of David and Deanna. He's very supportive of Ada Fest, very supportive of the Ada music scene. So it was definitely unfortunate that we had to lose someone that young and that talented so soon.
Right.
Yeah, and then excuse me, but aside from Ada Fest and live music, I know that you also do some charity work.
Yeah, we do. Every year I do a Christmas for nursing home and vets. We do that every single year. I've done it probably for 7 or 8 years now. We reach about 1,400 people total.
Oh, wow. Okay, and what prompted that?
Well, I just felt like I needed to do something.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes any sense at all.
Yeah.
The thing is, I have a great respect for people that have spent time in our military. I got, and of course the people in the nursing home. I just felt like sometimes you kind of get forgotten during Christmas, and a lot of them have family, but a lot of them don't.
Mm-hmm.
And so I get donations. There's some money out of my pocket, and but what I do is we try to raise enough money so we can give gifts to every single one of them. We go to the Ardmore Vet Center, we go to the Sulphur Vet Center. We're going to try to add Norman Vet Center in next year. But, we reach about 1,400 people in about 5 counties.
Okay.
So
that's still very impressive.
Yeah,
And can you kind of go into a little bit of how that first started?
Well, no, go ahead.
No. Just to kind of add on, you said that you felt like you needed to do something.
Right.
So did it initially start with an essential idea, or is it, but seeing there was a need and then trying to supply that need?
Then try to fill it. Yeah,
right.
And that was it. I figure I had a little bit of, I say a little bit, just a little bit of talent or something to give.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would go play for them, and the volunteers would go hand out blankets and diabetic socks, all these things, So, and they would hand them out to everybody while I try to entertain them for 45 minutes or so while we do all that.
Mm-hmm.
So, during Christmas, I take the last week out. It usually takes me about 3 months to get it done.
Mm-hmm.
But, and that's just a little here, a little there. But when we decide to do it, I'm going to be going to 4 or 5 different places every single day the full week before Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we do. We try to have a good time with it, and I'm tired by the end of it, but it's worth it.
But absolutely. And kind of giving, and you're one of the few that is actually doing it on that scale, and as far as locally, of course, in that magnitude, I guess, doing the 1,400 plus or 1,400 people in the 5 counties, and now did that start with just like Sulphur County, and then because we're here in Fittstown right now,
right?
But did that just start with one county, or was it just?
No, it just I knew so many people from so many different towns, and they go, "Man, you need to come over here. Man, you need to come over here." And I started really thinking. I was like, I'm not gonna, I can't mess around with this. I got to really organize this thing, and that's really what happened. And all of a sudden, somebody go, "Man, can you come over here? Can you?" And so I get calls, probably a month before Christmas. I'll have, "Hey, are you coming back? Hey, are you coming back?" Mm-hmm. So now I can't tell them no,
right?
At this point, so and I don't want to, but I'm just saying they're going to call. We're going to do it. We're going to do it every year till I can't. You know?
Right. No, absolutely. Is that something that you have like planned out where it's, you know, on this certain date you'll go to Norman, on this certain date you'll go to Sulphur?
Yeah, and we do that, but I've got to set that schedule because sometimes I got to work around them, and so you know I got a fairly open schedule. As long as I can plan things, I can get to it. But sometimes I got to work around their schedules, so it changes a little bit every year.
I gotcha. So it's almost like a little mini tour where, yeah,
no, it is, and the people literally, and this is so funny. I've played at the vet centers. And I'm sitting here at the Ardmore Vet Center, and I see these same faces every year, and I hope to see them again next year.
For sure,
because they're not young.
Yeah.
And but I've literally, trying to take as many. Hey, can you play this? Hey, so I've literally played Metallica to Johnny Cash for these people, and that is no joke. I said, hey, do you know this or that? And if I can come up with whatever song from whatever artist.
What's the most like obscure, I guess, song that they've requested?
Well, I had, I did. What obscure, I guess, would be that guy came out. I don't. Of course, I'm seeing his face right now. Asked me to play a Metallica tune.
Okay.
And I just didn't. It just did not. It did not hit me. It's like, okay, let me. And I do know. I knew Hero of the Day.
Okay.
So I went ahead and knocked it out for the guy, and that's, made his day, I guess.
And he was an older guy.
Oh, yeah. Well, he was probably, 70 at the time. But, how long has Metallica been around? 30 some years. Probably 33 or whatever.
Since the 80s, yeah.
Yeah, so they've been around.
That's funny you mentioned that, because I think Metallica gets mentioned on this podcast at least every other episode.
Oh, really?
Yeah, a lot of Metallica fans out there.
Yeah, well, and I've seen him as well. I've seen him in concert. So.
How was that?
It was a bucket list. I wanted to see him. I had a few things that I had on a bucket list, and Metallica was one. BB King's one. I got to see BB.
Oh, really cool.
So, I have a wide range. I think of eclectic group of musicians and genres I enjoy. So I'm just not stuck in one deal.
Right? No,
I'm just not stuck.
Well, it's no fun to be. Why would you want to be?
Yeah.
And it's I think that music in general is music is an entity, but it goes into different filters. You know what I mean? And I think that each genre definitely has something to add. To give.
It does have something.
Yeah, so that's very cool. Is it what's like a genre of music that is kind of a lot of people wouldn't guess, I guess?
Well, just at the party we were having nothing but Irish music on the.
Oh, okay.
In here playing. Of course, it's right around St. Patrick's Day, so my wife kicks on the Irish music, and we were listening to that while we were getting ready for the party, and of course, you listen to songs like "Whiskey in the Jar."
Yeah.
Of course, who covered that? Metallica covered that. Which was an old, Irish tune. So.
Right. Yeah. I remember that their cover coming out. I didn't know it was an old Irish tune.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Well, that's kind of like what was it? Godsmack. They covered "Come Together."
Yeah, "Come Together."
Yeah,
sure did,
"Come Together," and then there was another band, Devil Driver. They covered Hank Williams' 3 song "Country Heroes."
Right.
Which I don't recommend that cover.
Yeah. Well, and then you got Johnny Cash going back the other way.
Yeah, covering Nine Inch Nails.
Nine Inch Nails.
Yeah, Hurt.
On that.
Yeah. And then he also covered it wasn't a cover, but on that same album, it was The Man That Comes Around.
Yeah.
That was another one where that was another instance where listening to kind of older artists, I remember hearing Johnny Cash with the Hurt cover. That kind of got me into Johnny Cash.
Right.
Then of course, going back, and then I had watched the Folsom prison concert on YouTube.
Right.
So something kind of cool to check out for all of you people out there. But excuse me. What were some of your more like favorite shows that you got to play? Obviously, maybe with the and maybe to add on to the benefit shows that you were doing. Is that something that you do as a solo artist? Or is it full band?
Well, I do both. As far as that goes. Some of the stuff that's touched me is I lost a buddy of mine to pancreatic cancer, and he was dying. I was telling you, went to California. Mm-hmm. That's where I went to school, and moved there in Oklahoma, probably in the early, late 80s, early, right at 90. And the thing is, I flew the whole band back to California for a benefit concert for him.
Oh, wow.
And, so we raised I know at the time I was spending a little time with Rodney Carrington at the time, and I knew him.
Cool.
And Rodney signed a guitar for me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I would never ask somebody like that for anything. I don't, you know, I've met Blake several times, you know, Rodney and things like that. I've never asked for a signature, but the reason I asked for it was for trying to help my buddy out, because he just changed jobs, realized he had pancreatic cancer, and things went downhill in a hurry. So we knew he was gonna, you know, the money was gonna run out. You know, so anyway, yeah, we raised, I think, almost 20,000 for him and the family, and his kids were just going to college, and you know, he called me probably 3 months prior, before he knew he had it, and he was just, you know, I know I'm going into the story a little bit.
No, you're fine.
But you know, he was literally, you know, talking to me about switching jobs, and he did it, but it kind of hurt him on the medical insurance side. So anyway, we flew out there, and that one meant a lot to me. So that's one. And of course, having fun. You know, I've done, you know, you go and play in Fayetteville area in Arkansas. It's a great place to play. I've done a little bit of stuff down on Memphis, you know, down on Bill Street. Played a little bit in Nashville, you know, down there on Music Row. So these are all things I've done that, you know, I think were pretty cool.
Yeah, so very cool. And kind of touching on your benefit show, I had and you were kind to play the Elks Lodge for me a few times, which yeah. I think for their Cowboy something or some kind of.
It wasn't really Cowboy Crisis, but it was. You know, I'm trying to remember who we were trying to help at that point, but you know,
I think it was a member maybe, something like that. But yeah, and the Elks Lodge was another venue here in Ada. But and the Elks Lodge hosted a benefit for my best friend Logan Wood, his dad Philip Wood. The former dare officer,
and we you did something at Elks Lodge, right? Yeah, but I also was at the we also did for Philip. I got asked to do for this. I'm going to say it here at the Agriplex.
Yeah,
so I played that as well, and Philip was there.
Yeah, so well, he I think he wasn't feeling good, or he was sick, or something was going on, but I'm not sure as to why he wasn't there that night. But as you know, fortunately before he passed was. We got to do that benefit show for him. So it was like Oberon, and then it was Our Mother's Martyr, and I think Pet. So those were the three bands, and that was really cool. That was a lot of fun, and you know, it was kind of funny because White Deer Entertainment is the booking company that I do. But it was, I think, Logan, or I'm not sure who it was, but they were talking to Philip, you know, in the hospital, and you know, and of course they handed the money over at that time, and they mentioned that name to him, and he kind of laughed, and he thought that was a good name. So we kind of got the stamp of approval, which I thought was really cool. And that was great. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. So a lot of those Elks Lodge shows were a good time, definitely.
Yep.
So kind of wrapping up here, and you know, we're back, by the way. Apologize about the technical difficulties, but kind of wrapping up here. What is some like advice that you would give for a lot of upcoming artists, or people that are wanting to do like maybe upcoming artists as far as like playing shows and in bands, and then we can kind of tack on another question there at the end.
Gotcha. I mean, you know, things have changed over the years. I mean, that's one thing I've noticed. I mean, when I started, there wasn't social media.
Right.
Okay, so that wasn't in play. So we had to go out, you know, meet and greet and talk to different venues and things like that. But you know, one thing I've noticed, if you want to get jobs playing, you know, and there's a balancing act between literally staying true to yourself and, you know, playing covers. You know, nobody wants, you know, there for a while I had said, hey, Bill, you guys are the best cover band I heard. Well, I really didn't take that as a compliment, and I'm not trying to be mean with that at all.
Yeah, no.
I appreciate the gesture, I appreciate the compliment, but I didn't want to be known as a cover band.
Right.
So the thing is, to get jobs, yes, you got to do covers, because a lot of your venue owners want people to come in the door, and they want to listen to something that's familiar, and I get it. But, you know, the thing is, you got to stay true to yourself. If you're a songwriter, you got to work in your songs. So, you know, stay true to yourself, but, you know, I understand you want to get the job. You got to do what you can to get the jobs. So those are the things that, you know, that I would say that, you have to try to work on, and staying professional. I mean, you have to. I mean, you gotta, if they're gonna pay you to play for 4 hours, have 4 hours worth of material ready.
Well, and you mentioned kind of being professional. That kind of goes into having a good rapport with like the bar owner, the venue owner, the promoter, and making sure you're set up on time, and making sure that you guys are ready to go whenever you're ready to go. So whenever, for instance, if it's 9 or 10 o'clock, it's showtime. You're starting at 9 or 10 o'clock,
right?
And then you're playing until 10:30 or 11, and then you take a break, and then you come back. So it's like staying on schedule, and it's most of the bands that I've worked with are good about doing that. It's good about they're very. You can definitely tell who's more seasoned and who's not. And of course, the more or less seasoned ones, you just kind of prompt them, hey, make sure you guys you start at this time, make sure you guys finish around this time, and of course, it just all goes with like experience. Just trying to find your way
Definitely.
and everything. Yeah, definitely. And what's the song that like people often request? Like, is it
as far as original or
original and cover? Yeah, one of each, I guess.
It changes a little bit, but over the years, again, when you do it as long as I have, but we've had 2 songs on the Texas music charts.
Mm-hmm.
So "Shoot Me the Jukebox," is one that people ask us to play, when we're there, and they kind of expect it. "Outrun the Rain's" the other one. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I've even had a buddy coming through Austin, Texas, and they say, "Hey, Bill," they called me and said, "Hey, Bill, just heard your song on a radio station coming through Austin," which, of course, I was trying to push into the Texas music charts at that time.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the 2 songs I probably get hit up the most on my originals.
Mm-hmm.
So, or off the album.
Yeah.
And, and other than that, as far as, I've had people, literally hit me up for like "The Dance" or something like that by Garth Brooks.
Okay.
Stoney LaRue seems, the 2 by Stoney, of course, "Feet Don't Touch the Ground" and "Oklahoma Breakdown."
Mm-hmm.
So those are the couple that a lot of people hit me up.
Yeah.
Hey,
yeah.
I want to hear. Can you play that? Or they'll ask for a Johnny Cash or a junior tune.
Yeah.
So,
well, I remember seeing you guys play Oklahoma Breakdown a few times. And people get up and they dance and they get to kind of move. They get to kind of So that's really cool to see. It's really cool to see kind of a different genre of people, and whereas because I come from like the kind of rock and heavy metal side,
sure,
and seeing people get up and kind of get a lot of energy from another genre of music,
right? And we, when we're playing for 4 straight hours, we have to change it up.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we literally have to play from rock to country. I mean,
right?
And we do try to mix it up to keep things a little interesting.
Oh, for sure.
So
yeah, well, and I think that you really need to kind of take things up, and also you kind of what you had mentioned earlier about the Metallica thing is you have different people with different interests. But I think it's and I touched on this with my older brother who's a DJ. It's kind of a little bit something for everybody,
Sure.
And then that way everyone kind of gets their one song, and then maybe they'll stick around for another drink for the bar, and if the bar sees like, oh well, whenever Bill and those guys did Oklahoma Breakdown, right after that people went and got more drinks.
Yeah.
And it kind of so it kind of helps everyone.
But when we play that funky music, white boy, a lot of people get up and start dancing. Yeah, so,
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's those things where you just try to read the crowd. And I think as far as advice, that's another thing you have to do. If you can learn enough songs and read the crowd a little bit, sometimes you'll know maybe you need to stay away from certain songs and then play some other ones, and that'll help relate to the crowd because they did pay at the door to see you.
Oh yeah. For
so
sure.
and they're loyal to you. They're loyal to the venue, and if you want to make them loyal to you, you've got to kind of read them a little bit.
For sure.
Help that out.
Yeah, they're paying their money, at the door, or the venue that books you is paying you a guarantee. So definitely you don't want to try to chase them off with too much of a niche genre. You know what I mean? Yeah. Right. So for sure. And you said that you have a don't outrun the rain.
Yeah, Outrun the Rain.
Outrun the Rain. Yeah.
So that was again that's that off that album. But I'm working on an acoustic album right now. That should be out. And those are going to be all originals and stuff real personal to me. So we're gonna have those out
And you have that
fairly
on
soon.
Spotify? Is that on?
Everything I have is digitally distributed, and yeah, it'll be on Spotify, from Amazon to iTunes. You know, and perhaps it's going to be on all, a lot of different music, channels.
And that's right now. People can go out and check out.
Yeah, iHeartRadio. I mean, anywhere from, Spotify's probably the biggest, but iHeartRadio, things like that. They're all out there.
Awesome.
So.
And and it's under Billy K Band, right?
Yeah, if you look up Billy K Band, you'll find it, or you can go to billykband.com, or just look us up on Facebook. I think we got about, almost 7,000 followers there, which is
cool.
pretty good.
So Facebook, Spotify,
Twitter, Instagram. Yeah, we're all out there.
You're everywhere. Awesome. All right, well, hey, I really do appreciate you having me out and letting me interview you, and very cool.
Thank you, Jesse. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. So once again, definitely check out Billy K Band on Spotify, all the streaming sites. You can check us out on Spotify and all the streaming sites as well. We're on Instagram, Facebook, Needless Potatoes Podcast. Once again, thank you so much, Bill. I've been Jesse White Deer, and you've been...
Thank you, Bill Kelley.
All right, awesome.
Have a good one.